And we're live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our sixth session of Hallstatt by Night. Session 6, A Beast I Am. So, before I catch us up all to speed with where we are in the story in this murder mystery chronicle, let's introduce our coterie, starting with Lucas.
Hi everyone, I am Satanic Bunny and I will be playing as Lukas Rosselini, aka Dr. Andrew Miles, the group's Hecata.
Hello everyone, I'm Chris, aka the Unemployed Writer, and I'm playing Matthew Deacon, the Setite, whose god is going to hopefully show us the way tonight.
Very much hope so, because I'm quite nervous for tonight's session, so let's see what he's got. I'm Jonno. I am playing Kage, the sombre of the group. And yeah, fun times ahead. Strap in.
I am Nova, the overexposed. I'm playing nice for you today.
Did you set that up just for this?
No, I just looked at myself.
Amazing.
In the camera.
I am impressed. Oh god. I am Ethan, the storyteller of this wacky and always surprising group of independent kindred this night. So before we get underway with our story, I'll give a recap, and again I invite our group, if there's anything you think that we should mention or that you think that is important, feel free to cut me off and speak about it during or after, up to you. So, last time on Hallstatt by Night, Knives began the night by escaping the Second Inquisition base and hiding down in the snow and dirt from some unknown presence that attacked the people around her. She fled with the dagger that was found at Rhiannon Zeitman's murder scene into the woods and was lost. Together with this spectral figure, the Lady in Red, they marched back to Hallstatt and met up with the group of kindred as they finalized their dealings with Adelaide, the Toreador. They discussed the current happenings and what they have found before making a plan to find the therapist who treated Daniela Constans, who was Rhiannon's best friend. Matthew Deacon met with Daniela's mother, and the two had a heartfelt conversation in which he acquired an address in golden letters on a white card. The group made their way to a 2-story large house just on the edge of Obertraum. Knives was haunted by a vision of the man with the cane of ivory with a carved poodle's head on the front. He called her Child of Hakim and claimed they had finally found him to do battle. When Knives expressed their lack of knowledge in this revelation, he smiled and physically appeared to the rest of the group. Meanwhile, Kage snuck into the second floor and passed through a menagerie of strange oversea animals and into the room of the man. He found a disturbing symbol under the man's bed and stole his journal that was written in Latin. In another room, he found a wall smashed open from the inside a long time ago, but could not follow the old trail leading away from the home. The man introduced himself as Eli, a Toreador, who was more than happy to help the group. Matthew tried to read him in his speech, but could not penetrate his stoic and cold demeanor. The group then quickly left, but not before Eli handed them a book written in Latin, saying that you might find some use of this. The group sped away from the location, but noticed a figure watching them from the window as they did so. Afterwards, they made their way to meet with a Tremere that they are to be escorting to a place for the night, and then seeing out of town. They met Serafina, a scholar, along with Oscar and Martin, the latter being their leader. After some discussion, they agreed to split into each car, Serafina travelling with Matthew and Knives. Kage, meanwhile, travelled in dead silence with Martin and Oscar. Matthew tried to entice the Tremere away to be fed upon by an ancient salubri they had found the night before, but Martin threatened him with his thaumaturgy of fire and commanded them to bring the salubri to them or not bother. They seemed to be on a very important mission. Now they headed to Matthew's ghoul's home, where they can stash the Tremere for the night and meet up with Lucas for their next plan. So beginning this night, this time, is the snowy, cold, long drive towards Kira's house, which is Matthew's ghoul, who, being given the night off, has now been commanded to leave the home for his benefit, and Kira gladly does so. Is there any... So currently, Seraphina, this black... She wears a black dress, has long white hair, wears a witch's hat on her head, and a necklace of a half-crescent moon, and this black rock that she holds in her right hand is sitting and sort of fiddling with it while she's looking over that book that Mr. Deacon handed her, which she translated to be an exorcism of the people possessed by Satan. Some sort of Latin book describing how to do these exorcisms. She's fiddling through it, flicking through the old pages, while Kage, Martin, sits behind you in the car. He does not look up ever. He's too enraptured in the book that he has. And again, his right hand, which is burnt down to a crisp almost, sort of moves invisibly as if it's maybe flicking a pen or a coin or something between him, or maybe he's making something dance that you can't quite see. Oscar occasionally looks at you. He is wearing this blue sort of coat, sort of a greeny sea blue, and his white hair looks like it's been electrified and is constantly standing up on edge. His eyes wide constantly, eyeing you up and down, then looking back at the road as the car follows behind. Knives, who is an expert driver, especially in these conditions. As I head towards Kira's house, is there any conversation between our group that is had?
I will, because I think I'm in the back with Seraphina, right?
Mm-hmm.
So while she's reading through the book, I'll just say, what's that you got in your hand there? Little black rock.
Oh, it's some kind of meteor that fell to Earth a long time ago. It's quite rare, but I'm still trying to figure out what it does.
Right. Okay. When did it fall down on Earth? I mean, I know a little bit about astrology. It's not really related, but the stars and everything.
I couldn't quite pinpoint the time myself, but Martin suggests that it was between 2,000, 2,200 years ago.
Wow, quite old.
Incredibly
Quite
old. Something magnetic about it that... And then she sort of shakes her head and looks away from it. It's quite interesting, I think.
So did Martin give that to you?
Yes, it was a... how did he put it? A coming of age gift.
Coming of age gift.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So you weren't long turned before you were given that little gift.
No, I was congratulated by Oscar and Martin. I'm the youngest of the three.
Hmm. Well, I mean, I'm not sure if this is ruled or not, but how long you been part of the night?
Oh, not that long. I mean, she sort of holds out her hands and starts counting on her fingers, like the amount of years. She says, maybe it'd be about 85 years it was the 20s, I think.
85 years. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 20s. The roaring 20s, as I hear about it.
How old are you, Matthew?
Wait, we're talking about general age or kindred years?
Oh, kindred years, obviously.
Not super old. About, well, it's 2008, right? Is that a prison like? Yeah, about 6 years or so. So quite a baby compared to you, Seth.
Oh, that's so interesting. You seem so, I guess, wise. I thought you were older.
Why, thank you. Thank you so much, and I will not abide by that sniggering in the front there.
I do mean it as a compliment. No, really, I do. I do.
No, I take it as a compliment. But I mean, all I gotta say is that a lot of what I learned in my mortal life has translated very well to this life. I mean, obviously not the sucking the blood and having to keep a secret. Well, actually, yeah, I did have to keep a secret from people when I. It's beside the point, anyway. Okay, no, that's. I mean, 85. I'm sure you got a lot of stories. You know, a lot of.
Well, not as much as you'd think. Lots of study, lots of, time in small rooms, lots of writing and practicing. It's actually really nice to be outside after, so long.
Yeah. Well, what? I mean, I don't know if this is being too forward or not. Feel free not to answer. This is just a general question. What is it exactly you cats are up to tonight?
Oh, let's have a charisma persuasion, please.
Can I put ore on, please?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, fuck it, I will. Cool. So I add +2 to that.
You add your presence rating in dice to this roll.
Yeah, I got 2 in presence. So,
Kage, is there anything you would like to speak to the others about, or are you going to simply observe and sit in silence with them?
That one.
Let's make a wits and insight for you. Is there anything knives?
New session. Do we recover some willpower?
You certainly do. Composure or resolve, whichever is highest, you can recover in in superficial willpower damage. Knives, anything you would like to do in this moment while you're driving?
Knives is too scared to talk to her.
6, a critical success.
Critical success. She sort of looks back and observes how dark the windows are between you and the other car, sort of decides that it's okay, and she says, well, we've come from Munich, and we're heading east, northeast, further along, because, well, things are not quite good right now.
Really? With your clan or with things in general?
With Munich.
Oh, Munich. What's going on down in Munich?
I mean, I probably shouldn't be telling you. No, I think it's important that I do. Everybody's dead.
What? Everyone like us?
Every kindred is dead in Munich.
What? I think Matthew's going to pause with it. What? Did something kill them all?
The kind.
No way. No. What?
I'm afraid so.
How?
From what I hear, what I got away from, lots of fire. Lots and lots of fire. And technology we've never seen before.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So, we're on our way northeast to make sure that everybody knows what's going on. Because whatever it is, it's coming. And it's spreading.
Shit. I think Matthew's just going to be silent as he mulls over that.
How many six? Go ahead.
Sorry, just one question. Just out of clarification. So our car is going towards the Salubri?
You're going to Kira's home, unless you wanted to trick them and divert to the Salubri's
Well, because I
place.
thought that was the plan, was to go to the Salubri, pick up the Salubri, have them go to Kira's, and then go back to Kira's.
Martin was pretty clear that they wanted to go to the place, and then
all of them wanted to go to the place. Oh,
and
I
then
see,
you
okay.
go get them and bring them to them.
I got it.
Yeah, no problem. Kage, how many successes on your wits awareness?
See, I thought he told her to come with us.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. But I
3.
think it's to come with us while we go. Yeah.
He did command Seraphina to go with you, but that is to watch you.
Yeah.
To make sure everything goes smoothly. 3 successes. Oscar, is eyeing you perhaps a bit too often. He seems very on edge with you being here and very uncomfortable, and he is occasionally flexing his muscles underneath or looking down at something on his body. You can see that he actually has like a small switchblade that he keeps on his side, and is just very nervous at this time. Don't think he's gonna
driving, isn't he?
Yes, he is. You don't think he's going to try anything unless you try anything, though.
Mm-hmm.
But Martin, on the other hand, doesn't observe you at all. He's just sitting there, confident and quiet, completely. At this point, who's going to text Lukas or call Lukas to make Lukas aware of where we are headed?
It's illegal to text and drive.
Yeah,
Indeed.
I think I will.
Yeah, I can't use phones. So
Yeah. I will just simply text Lucas, say, I'll give him the address of Kira's place, and I'll just say, the three are there. We have some stuff to talk about.
The text is almost immediate. I'm already on my way.
Be ready, is all I'll say.
The message just gets a full stop.
I'll finish messaging, and I'll just say to Serafina, I'll just say, I'm so sorry you had to endure all of that. It seems like it was a hectic time.
That's one word for it. I like the word horrific and traumatic. They're both quite good, I think. But let's not talk about that, shall we? We've got things to do and we've got places to be, and I'm in such a wonderful little town. I just would love to see some things as we pass by. Could you point out some things? She just starts babbling about things over and over and over, whether that be a nervous tick or a response to this, trying to drown out whatever thoughts she's having.
Yeah. So and I'd start pointing out like various landmarks, just sort of abiding by her obviously wanting to move on. And as I'm doing it, after I've sort of gone through a few and talked a few of like, oh, there's that old manor and there's like the lake and there's blah, blah, blah. I'll just say, so you said you were studying a lot. Did you, you enjoy it? Enjoy the learning?
Absolutely. I had my own private library.
Very fancy.
And if the other two acquire knowledge on anything, I'm the one they come to because I have all the books and all the brains, it seems.
Well, I would have thought with such older, since you're the baby, you'd be the one going to them.
You would think so, but well, it's less ask and more, do and such. What was that? Sorry.
Demanding.
Yes, very demanding. As is our structure, I suppose.
Structure, yeah, I heard about that. I'm sure it's a great structure, a great triangle, as it were.
It's not the most popular these nights, I understand it, but it works.
Forgive me once again. I'm being very forward right now, but it's I like you. You seem like a cool cat. You seem like somebody who I can get along with. But if you don't mind my French, it seems really, really fucking stupid.
Oh,
being chained down. I don't know. It just doesn't sit right with me. That's just my personal thought. Feel free to believe what you want to believe, but I don't know. It just seems odd.
That's understandable. I can see where you're coming from. A lot of history shows that people don't like being tied down. They prefer those things, but people only, revolt when things are at their worst and when they affect the individual, right?
Yeah, well, we're not talking about people here. We're talking about you. Do you?
Oh, I guess we aren't people, are we?
Well, yeah, you know what I mean. I'm talking you. Does you, Serafina, the person sitting in front of me right now, or sitting next to me right now, how do you feel about this?
I feel great. I have access to a near endless supply of knowledge. It's freeing.
Freeing.
Hmm.
Oh, well, perspectives. Some people look at the Catholic Church and they think the same thing. They think, oh, it's an oppressive structure. But yeah.
Miss, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. She sort of
Knives.
Knives. Nice to meet you. I haven't. Are you all right? Is something bothering you? I haven't heard much from you.
Yeah, I'm just focusing on driving.
That's understandable. This weather is still coming down quite a bit. It's freezing outside. Oh, I think it is.
I mean, if I could drive a car and be invisible, I would.
Some people can do that, you know.
How?
Well, I'm honestly not sure exactly how, but I've seen it done before. This Nosferatu that we met with a long time ago. Or was it the Malkavian with them? I can't remember. One of them did it. It was impressive.
I mean, without it looking weird, like there was no one driving a car.
Well, the car just appears out of nowhere. Is it like a ghost or a wraith or something? It was quite fascinating.
I think I've seen that James Bond movie. But Die Another Day, something like that, with Halle Berry, Invisible Car.
I haven't seen movies for a very long time, I'm afraid.
You should. Great entertainment.
Either.
Well, once we reach our destination, perhaps if the other two give me some time, then we can maybe sit back and relax and watch a movie. That would be nice. I would like to put my feet up. It's been a long, long travel to get here. At this point, you arrive at Kira's house. And I imagine, Lucas, you've already arrived there beforehand because you would be closer. I imagine, Matthew, that Kira's house is very sort of one story, a bit spacious, but very much for one person to live in, with
sure.
the one bedroom, the couch, television, kitchen, everything. It's been cleared out for you. You know where the key is under the rock. And the three...
Also easily sunproofable as well, because I stay there often. So
Absolutely. And Lucas, you hear the two cars, enter the driveway and park themselves nearby. Martin snaps his book together and sort of places it on his lap and just waits for the all clear. Oscar as well sort of observes the other car. Serafina stares between Knives and Matthew and says, well, shall we? I need to check the place first and then tell the others that it's okay.
of course, come with me. I'll give you the grand tour.
If I may, if I see that they come to a stop, I will be approaching to open the doors and to be hospitable. But would there be a need for a blush of life at this moment? I wouldn't think
they're
so.
they're all kindred. You know they're Tremere.
Then there would be no blush of life.
And
if I see him approaching, I'll probably mention to the two with me. I'll be like, he's with us.
Oscar sort of like looks at you, his head tilted slightly to the side, wide-eyed, gives a nod. Martin does not say a single thing, just stares off out the other direction, looking at something perhaps that isn't there. Serafina nods and says, oh, fantastic, yes, please, you must introduce me to your friend as well. Lucas, you see this young, sort of 26-year-old in this black dress with really long, baggy sleeves and a crescent moon necklace, as well as a witch's hat and this strange black sort of meteorite in her right hand. And she gives you the book back, Mr. Deacon, and she stands up and leans forward like she's going to go talk to you, and then she sort of goes, "No, all right, yep," and then waits for you two to get out first, and then introduce you guys to each other first.
I will. I'll just say, Serafina. This is great friend Lucas. Lucas Serafina. Serafina's got a rock that's older than all of us put together.
Isn't it fantastic? Hello, Lucas. So lovely to meet you. I'm Serafina.
It is nice to meet you, Serafina. I hope that the journey here wasn't bumpy.
It has been extraordinarily bumpy, and so much snow, and so many tires and tire changes, and sorry. Let's check out the place, shall we?
This way, please.
She. Go ahead.
Knives just like gives Lucas a look like, did you know about this?
He doesn't look at you.
Serafina comes inside. Mr. Deacon, you give her the look around. She observes some things. She pretends like she really looks know what she's doing. She opens up a cabinet, goes, yeah, no bugs in here. Yep, and makes her way through, checking everything. I have an important question though. I imagine there's no blood sorcery or anything around this place. Yep. So she finds nothing. She's really looking for that sort of stuff. And after a while, she sort of clicks her boots together as she turns and says, well, fantastic. This is rather ideal. I'll leave you all to your own while I go fetch the others. I imagine, Kage, you've come inside as well, just to see that everything's going along smoothly.
I think maybe I would have stayed with the other two while they cleared it out, maybe.
Yeah, so you will see Serafina coming out and knocking on the window, rolling it down. She says, all right, Oscar, you can bring Martin inside. Let's go. You can come too. Sorry, what was your name?
Kage.
Kage, so lovely to meet you. I'm Serafina. Well, you already knew that. Come with us, please. We'll go inside and I'll set everything up nicely. Oscar gets out. Martin gets out as well. They make their way towards the front door. As soon as they reach the front door, Serafina bites into her wrist and starts drawing this big circle up all over the front and starts casting blood sorcery straight away as Martin and Oscar step inside.
That's not going to be a problem past tonight, is it?
Serafina sort of like dragging her blood down the door and go, just protocol. Right, Martin? Martin gives a small nod. Just what we usually do.
Yeah, protocol. Okay. Got it.
I don't know much about blood sources. I'll be like, what is it?
Just don't touch it. It'll really hurt.
Just specifically the door frame. Don't touch the door frame.
Okay. No problem.
No. I mean, like, you put it in the blood. I'm asking where shouldn't I touch?
The door at all.
The whole door.
Yes, the whole door.
Okay.
How do we get in?
How do we get back in when we pick up your Meals on Wheels?
I can do it specifically so that us three can work with it.
Right. Got it.
She resumes smearing her blood across this door, and when she sort of finishes, it just looks like faded paint once it sort of sinks into the wood. Like the paint has faded in such a strange, bizarre way. If anyone looked at it, it would be like, well, someone clearly, didn't do a very good job at this paint. And then once she's done, she starts going over to the windows and starts repeating the process again.
Very thorough. Well, okay.
What would you all like to do?
Ives is just watching her intently. Like, Matthew is letting her do this evil stuff that's banned in his mind to his house.
Not my house.
Or to his, well, she thinks it's his house.
So Lucas would activate Sense the Unseen to just admire how it manifests, how it looks, how it appeals to his senses as it goes from not existing to being channeled into existence and then finally activating.
If you have Sense the Unseen, you can see that it's a bunch of mathematical Pythagoras, very, very like clean and efficient, like perfect circles, perfect diamonds, all of these things. Really, really well done. It appears Seraphina's very talented at these sorts of things that she does. But occasionally, Oscar will come over and he will correct her and he will say, no, that symbol doesn't go there, it goes here. And she'll go, oh, and quickly fix it up. So it appears she's regurgitating what she's learned from Oscar, who appears to be the real expert actually at this, from what you can observe.
Lukas will continue to say nothing and just observe.
Yeah, I don't think Matthew. Like, I think he wants to say something. He wants to get them to stop, but his best interests right now are not aligned with that. Of like, he doesn't want to piss them off. So I think he's just going to. You're going to see a lot of conflict within him, but he's okay.
Yeah. They continue to do so until all the windows, all the doors, all the passageways, even some of the walls that appear a bit weakly structured or things where like Oscar will like tap on certain walls and be like and point. Seraphina will nod, hurriedly rush over, smear the blood over and make her way through until they're all done. She sort of collapses onto the couch and like she looks pale and exhausted. And Martin will simply bite into his wrist and just feed her his blood, which she laps down like a baby bird being fed from their mother. And then suddenly all her color returns to her face. She's bright and chipper as she stands back up again and says, "Thank you all for waiting. She stands awkwardly, not knowing what to do, and sort of looks between everybody as sort of this emissary between you all.
Would you like us to bring you something to eat?
She looks over to Martin and Oscar, who sort of... Oscar then looks over to Martin. Martin just gives a solemn nod. Who back to Oscar, back to Seraphina. Seraphina says, "Yes, that would be delightful. I think that would be fantastic. Thank you."
And you said we could go in and out of these doors without any trouble.
I'll have to open it for you.
Oh, you'll have to open it. I see.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, yeah, it's all coming together now. All right. Yeah, I hope it doesn't take too much of scrubbing for it to get out because.
Don't worry. I'll remove them once we leave.
Oh, great.
Do you have any preferences, or are you not picky eaters?
As far as I'm concerned, Oscar won't eat anyone who's, down on their luck, so to speak. Martin is not picky. I prefer mine in bags, but I'm not too picky.
I pick one out of my bag and hand it to her.
Oh, thank you so much. Knives, was it? You don't happen, Mr. Deacon, you don't happen to have a straw or something that I can work this... I don't, or a mug,
hand
or...
her a straw.
Yeah, thank you so much. She sort of stabs it in and she just... the whole thing, like, super quickly, ravenously.
Oh, priest's son.
Oh, absolutely. Divine, thank you so much, Knives. I really appreciate that.
I have one final question, and then I will cease to irritate you with inconveniences.
Not in the slightest. I love talking.
Lukas would look toward the two men and then continue. Forgive me if this comes across as offensive. I do not know your age or the thickness of your blood. Did you need multiple sources of food? And if so, how many?
She looks over to Martin and Oscar. Oscar should be fine with just the one. Martin, do you require more of things, Martin sort of shakes his head, just says, he speaks for the second time, simply says, a single person will do.
Then it will be done. Thank you for answering these questions.
Thank you so much, Lucas.
Will you be fine here on your own? We will only be but a moment.
Oh, of course. Take your time. We have a few rituals to perform and some things to make sure that we are completely safe here and everything's under control. So, take your time.
You got a phone or something, Seraphina? I mean, I don't want to knock on the door and then suddenly get zapped. So I can just message you when we're waiting outside.
She pats her pockets. Martin shakes his head disappointingly and she says, no, I left it in Munich for reasons.
There, that's okay.
Do you have You can call the home number here, though.
That's right. They've got a oh, yeah.
It's okay.
I forgot. Yeah.
Let me. She runs over and opens the door. Don't freeze too much. It's very, very cold tonight.
It was a pleasure meeting you, Seraphina. And I know you got a tight timetable, but if you find some time while you're here in Hallstatt, I would love for all of us to watch a movie together. Sit down, watch some great flicks.
That would be lovely. I'll see what I can do with this television, but I'll see what I can do. Anyway,
Yeah,
thank you so much for everything you've done.
I will, if I'm able, be the last person to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And then I suppose I'll just look over my shoulder just to look at them all for one last time. Was there anything else that we can do for you while we are out to put your minds at ease? I can only imagine the terrors you've been through.
Seraphina looks back at the others. Martin again gives a solemn, slow shake of the head. She sort of begins closing the door, saying, "No, it's perfectly fine. I think we'll have everything under control here. Anyway, thank you. Bye." And she closes the door very quickly.
And then I will go to the cars.
You all regroup in Lucas's car. I'll leave the scene to you all.
They're very cautious.
I wouldn't talk just yet. Someone start the engine. We need to go.
Nice. I'm assuming you start the engine and we drive off. This is going to be hard. But yeah, as we're driving off, as we're safe distance, we say, this is going to be harder than I thought it would be.
Who is in this car?
Seraphina, the talky one.
Just her?
Just her. And Knives and me.
Check underneath your feet in the footwells. Look in the crevices of this car.
I
would hope if there was a bugging device that hopefully would be jammed.
Well, no, it might be in the cultish one. I was in pretty deep conversation with her the whole time. But would have I noticed anything?
You would have noticed she had both her hands full for actually most of it. She had the meteorite and the book for a majority of the time. If she was going to do something, she'd be very good at. She'd have to be extremely good at, like, have a knife on her boot and like cut it open and then draw it with her. And have you not noticed that at all? Very, very difficult.
I'll just relay that. I'll just say, look, I was talking to her the whole time. She had a book in one hand, the rock in the other. I was watching her the whole time while talking.
All right.
She's very dexterous.
Catch me up.
Okay. Where do we begin? How about we begin with something not related to us right now? Well, kind of related to us because Munich. All the kindred are gone. Dead.
Sumimasen, excuse me?
Humans. Kill them all.
Oh,
That's kind of a big deal, right?
Yeah, because that's going to spread further out. So
but
that's
it's not here now.
not
right?
yet. Not yet, but we got Agent Jacobs and and Agent Cuntface.
Speaking of, technically, it is already here. You already dealt with one of their bases.
It's not
Ah.
here in the extent of how it is in Munich.
Not to that extent, but it is
Yeah.
kind of already begun.
We're
They
not
have-
exactly a united front here as such. We're quite divided. I don't think we'd fare well.
That will change soon with what we have planned.
Yeah, I'm wondering how we're going to go forward with that plan. But before we do that, let's table that for now. So that's thing number one. That's thing that's not quite on our radar, but is slowly coming in on our radar. Thing number two, we had a lovely meeting with Poodle King earlier on tonight.
Yes.
Did you get his name?
Yeah, Dr. Eli,
He's,
Daniela's
What?
he's the therapist.
therapist. Daniel is a therapist. He assures me that he is not somebody who gives out medication. I believe him. At least, I mean, he's hard to read.
Is he a
But-
psychologist or a psychiatrist?
Did I get that information?
We didn't
The card
ask
doesn't
that,
say?
really.
No.
No, it just has an address. But you can assume that it is most likely a psychologist.
I'll probably say, what's the difference?
What else do you have to tell me?
Yeah, so there was that. Oh yeah, I let slip the whole 3-eye thing, like let slip in front of them, hoping it would lure them. I think I got a little close, but didn't quite get it. They
Didn't quite hit the mark.
No, it surprises me they didn't bring it up actually.
Do you think they've forgotten or they're testing us?
It appears that they have a lot of things on their mind,
Yeah.
which is good for us. They're not on their.
Hey, game.
Yes.
Do we
Uh,
feign ignorance in that regard then?
I will pose to Knives. You remember the words that Dr. Eli used to you, child of Hakim, and such. Are you keeping this to yourself?
I think it's more like I don't really understand what
Yeah.
he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
So how could I relay that back if I was confused by what he was saying? She was more focused that he knew her name.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And if you don't bring that up, Knives, I will. But did you want to bring that up that he knew your name? Because you said that in the car.
Mm.
She's not talking.
Okay.
She's quiet. She's just listening.
And here's another thing about Dr. Eli, and he apparently appeared to Knives while she was invisible. Knew her name, her real name. Not even us. We don't even know her real name.
Maybe he's a pretty good journalist too in his spare time.
Nah. I don't buy it.
And you've never met him before.
First time I seen him was in the hospital.
What did your gut tell you?
It was in my head.
In your head. How so?
Or we were gonna fight. I can't. There was a lot going on. Also, Matthew, you said that this blood shit is bad and you're letting them post it all in your house.
What did you want me to do? Did you want me to start a fight? Did you want me to say, no, you can't do this thing that we bought you specifically here to do? I can't do that. I can't jeopardize what we have planned. And by having a small little squabble over something so insignificant right now.
I'm
That would
just going to say
jeopardize.
this, and I'm saying it once. This is a terrible idea. That end. Enjoy. Carry on your conversation.
There is a flicker of the car lights, and the radio crackles to life for a brief second.
Knives, I have a series of questions for you, if you do not mind.
I have a pet knife. It likes playing with the technology.
I see. How did you survive?
I said, "Hey, lady, what's up? Can you help me find somewhere safe to go?" And then she took me. That's not actually how it happened. I ran for a very long time. I ran. She slaughtered everybody who got in my path. Oh, fuck.
Good, she'll be useful then.
I don't have control over her.
Are you able to bring her out to talk?
If she wants to,
Would you mind?
ask her.
What is her name?
She doesn't talk.
Did you give her a pseudonym?
No. I just said, "Hey, let's get to safety," and she agreed, and we held hands and we ran.
Spirit that has attached themselves to the blade now in possession of knives. I wish to speak to you.
She doesn't possess me.
There is silence in the car as you all sort of sit there and wait for some time. The only response that you receive is you, Knives. You feel choleric as this fiery anger flushes through your body like a shiver up the spine, a crawling anger that flushes through you in but a second, starting at the base of your spine and going up all the way before it stops.
I don't think she likes you.
What makes you think that?
Muted?
Can everyone not feel her energy?
No. What did you feel?
She is mad.
Mad.
Might want to tread carefully. I saw what the lady did.
I
What the
understand.
aftermath.
I really don't want to upset her anymore. She's been through a lot.
Nor do I.
We're staying safe, huh?
Knives is my friend. Knives, would you consider me one of your friends?
I got told never to have friends.
So what do you
But
feel?
I trust you.
Well, first of all, that means a lot. Thank you. But how do you feel? Is she communicating through you now that they hopefully know that we are of a unit, of a like mind?
I slip my hand into the bag and touch the knife and see if I can see her.
As soon as you touch it, Knives, there is you can see her. No one else can. She's floating there in sort of like in suspended in air in between all of you, just staring furiously at the two in the back, watching between both of them. And as you do so, her foot passes through the radio, and then everyone else, you can hear the radio crackles to life. It's a woman's voice, hums 3 descending notes, very slowly, very somberly. Once, twice, 3 times before it crackles and dies. And you feel it again, a mixture of melancholy and choleric, shifting your blood backwards and forwards. It's like you're again, that ping pong ball on the ping pong table between scared and angry that sort of shifts between them.
I may know why they do not like me.
I slow the car down to a stop.
Question: Am I the other one in the back with Lucas, or am I?
I would say so. Yes.
Okay, cool. That's fine.
Spirit, if what I think is correct, you know from which family I come from. You know, perhaps, what they have done. And I will admit what I have done, and in a sense, somewhat continue to do to these nights. I would be lying if I said that I do not take joy in it at times. Though I try to narrow my findings on people who are foul down to their core. I do not wish to harm you. In fact, I wanted to help you. Feel my energy if you must. I am not lying.
It is quick and violent, the way that the front of the car crushes itself down into a thin layer. The engine all just instantly. The entire front, as if it was crushed by some falling truck. Tires and everything burst as it just crushes down in front of you. And it stops just before the radio, the cracking of the window right in front of you. Knives, you can see it as she is sort of just stepped backwards, put her hand on it, and just slowly pushed down.
I get out of the car.
Same.
I will as well, but I stand close by Knives.
There is like a magnetic pull as you stand close to Knives that sort of, you feel like you are the same side of the magnet that pushes against each other, like something is keeping you, keeping distance between the two of you. And Knives, you can see it. The lady in red is standing there, hand outstretched, defending you, perhaps? You're not quite sure.
I think this might be a bit of a dead end, Lucas. Seems like the more you talk, the more you piss her off.
So
Fine.
that was the spirit.
I think she's more than just a spirit.
From what I remember, it is a combination of. Now that I say it out loud, it makes much more sense. I shouldn't be smiling. I apologize. But now we are out of a vehicle. One moment, please. And I would like to call my ghoul.
Mm-hmm.
Please be careful. Sorry.
No problem. As you pick up the phone, step away from Kage, you call Marcus. What would you like to say to Marcus as he picks up? Just finishing his shift.
Is there any street signs or landmarks to know where exactly we are?
Oh, you're just outside of town. Not very far at all.
We've run into complications. I'm going to need you to pick me up and be ready for anything. And then I hang up.
Mm-hmm. He comes along in no time. And you can all pile on into the vehicle if you so wish. Or do you wish to commandeer it?
No, they will be coming with me, but I don't let anyone in yet. I lower my voice.
No, you go.
I know you can't control them. But if you can appease them, at least until we are done with what is going on, I would be very thankful. Our lives are at risk here. And I don't want anything bad to happen to you. I was very, I was worried. Thought we would have lost you in the fire. Don't scare me like that again, please.
Are you talking to me?
Yes, I am.
Well, I followed the plan to the T. So just know whenever I say I'm gonna run, it means I'm gonna run, and sometimes I won't be back for a few hours. But we're all gonna die tonight anyway, so it doesn't matter.
If we set our minds to that, then we will. But you are talented. We are all talented in our own way. What I'm asking for you right now, bordering on begging, is for you to keep this entities calmer, if you can.
Okay.
We will sort it all out, if we can, in the future.
I think the best bet then is if I don't come with you to the caves, because I can't guarantee that I'm not going to stress out about it.
But where would you go?
Stay close to the house.
It's not a bad idea that someone keeps an eye on them.
But you would be alone.
No. I did say the knives.
You
No.
promised me he wouldn't look at me, and I'm trying to make sure this stays the same.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. And I think that you having deniability is a good in case things go to real shit. So, yeah, by yourself, that is a risk.
What if they're expecting food, right? Who's getting that? Maybe knives and someone gets the humans for them and the others get... No, okay. Just trying to figure out a plan. It's all a little bit messy.
Fine. Then how about this? We will take you back into town, drop you off there. For the duration of the ride, appease this spirit so that it does not crush a second pair of wheels.
Okay.
And then from there, we can figure out what to do. Wonderful.
Sounds good.
Please, if you wouldn't mind sitting in the back, knives. I will be sitting shotgun as I have my man in the seat, driving.
I squish between Kage and Matthew.
Mm-hmm.
The middle.
The entire group make their way to the car, make their way back to town. So the plan is, I believe, Knives, you're going to stay outside and observe the Tremere to make sure they don't go anywhere, to see what they're doing, etc. While the other three of you are heading back to this tomb of ice where this ancient salubri sleeps.
I am going to message some of my contacts, some of my young contacts to sort of stay in the neighborhood and let me know if there's any loud noises.
Okay, no worries. I'll make a note. Anything else anyone else would like to do?
I would like to feed.
No worries. For sake of time, we'll just do a simple... Well, you're actually in your own neighborhood, so it's quite easy for you to do. Just do a simple hunting roll in that case.
So it's manipulation, subterfuge. Dice number is 8.
Hey, Lucas, did you snag me?
Did I what?
Did you snag me a present when you came back from work?
Right, no. Though I would like to say, could I have hunted before I left?
Absolutely. What hunger are you on currently?
Me? 2.
Oh, you can put that down to 1. Quite easily.
7 messy critical.
7 messy critical. Make a hunger frenzy check, please.
What hunger are you on, Kayla?
Hunger frenzy, so that is...
I have a blood bag that I acquired last session. I can share it with Kayla. If I share it, I mean, I'll give it to her.
Okay. Knives, you can slurp down this blood bag with one of your extra straws.
I know
like.
Lucas hates it, so I'm not doing it in the car.
No worries. You step out into the snow when you get dropped off, puncture it with the straw, suck it all down, so you can reduce your hunger by 1.
So she's not in the car anymore?
No.
4.
All right.
4, you are perfectly under control, Mr. Deacon, as you do so, but you take the time to relish in the euphoria of the feeling for both of you, an extended period of time, but you stop when it's appropriate. You can reduce your hunger to 1. With that many successes in a critical, you are perfectly fine.
And now the ghoul is driving us toward the... Okay. During the drive... We need to make a decision. That's 3 gentlemen.
By the way, Kage, I'm going to let you in on this. I'll let you in on it too, Lucas. I don't know if I mentioned to you, actually, Lucas, Dr. Eli. He told me he was Toreador. But I told Knives Tremere to help sell her on this plan.
And what do you think is the truth?
So, who's lying? You're lying, or he's lying, or both?
Very, very hard to read. But I know I definitely lied. To my knowledge, I definitely lied. I just want you to know that.
Do you have an understanding as to... do you believe that they are a Toreador?
I don't know what to believe with Dr. Eli. Dr. Eli scared the shit out of me. I'm very good at picking up people's bullshit. You should know that by now. I'm very good at picking up people's lies. But when I looked at Dr. Eli, I saw nothing. And that scared me.
Did they try anything on you? Did you feel anything that you wouldn't otherwise feel?
Did I feel anything in regards to... No, I didn't.
Sin? Absolutely not. It is, like Auspex and Dominate, a very subtle skill. You felt nothing.
Not as far as I'm aware. He offered all of us drinks after doing some weird...
You did not drink, did you?
No, of course I didn't.
And what of Knives?
No, she was out of there faster than me. I stuck around to try to get something from him.
Did you get anything from them?
No, not really.
Nothing.
I got his journal.
A journal?
Yes.
Do you have it on you?
Yes.
Wait.
Would you mind?
And I did get something.
You
just
did.
Remembered. I was thinking of information, to be honest.
Yeah, that's fair. You both got books.
I don't touch them. I immediately sense the unseen them first.
Now, since the unseen can sense auras, there's something sickly and, I guess the accurate word is defiled about both of these books that makes you uneasy when you look at them. But that's just the aura. when someone uses something over and over and over again, perhaps their aura, or perhaps the book is magical in its own way. Not quite sure which way that is.
But it does not appear to be magically booby-trapped or anything.
You cannot see any blood sorcery involved on
All right.
the covers, or if the other two sort of open them up and show the pages to you. No.
Any bloodstains on those pages?
The occasional bloodstain, but it seems to be, long dried, like browning.
Like a paper cut or like a splash?
Little splatters, like someone might have, paper cut their finger and then it's accidentally dribbled onto the page. Seems very accidental, nothing purposeful.
And does it look like it is written with ink?
It's written with ink.
Okay. Would I be able to not exactly translate, but get a rough understanding on the occult implications?
It's all written in Latin, so it's gonna be a very difficult roll.
I'm not focusing on the words, maybe the symbols instead.
Intelligence occult.
While you're reading that, Kage, that was disturbing. What happened in the car? I don't know much about the ghosts that bump around, but I've never seen anything like that.
Just crushed the front of the car. It's quite.
Yeah, it's like giving a baby a nuclear weapon.
Hopefully, she can learn how to aim the nuke.
As well, I'll point out, Kage, you also saw the menagerie, the strange symbol, all those other things. Just letting you know if you wanted to keep those to yourself or if you wanted to reveal those in time.
Yeah, I just hadn't found the chance to, but I could
no
now.
worries. It's up to you.
All right. While everyone's mulling over, I will describe my journey through the house. The animals, I found the symbol under the bed. That was quite concerning, and it was like a large trap door of some sort as well, right?
Yeah, it seemed to be like someone had taken a large old wardrobe and had shifted it with a lot of strength in front of this huge hole that looked like someone had, like, perhaps a kindred with Potence had punched through this old wood and ripped it apart and then made their way out into the snow. But the trail that you tried to follow was so quite a while ago, so it was quite difficult to follow. It's with all the snow happening.
So I don't know what all this means, but these are my findings for Mr. Poodleman.
Lukas, you got your pen and paper here?
Always.
I asked to grab it.
Mm-hmm. I provide.
I pass it to Kage. Well, actually, I'll just tell you to pass it to Kage and just draw the symbol.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I will try and replicate the symbol that I see.
Let's have resolve occult, please.
Ooh,
With 4 successes, Lukas. This is very paganistic, satanistic symbology. Very typical, but not entirely. You see the occasional pentagram, you see the occasional goat horn symbolism, which is all very on the nose, and it seems more like it's someone's personal little sketches that they've done in their own spare time. Is there anything to them? You're not quite sure. You'd need to understand Latin to really understand that, but it's a lot of strange, and there's this one symbol which is a circle. It's a... Let me get the exact thing for you so I can describe it for you perfectly. It is a circle inside of a diamond and 2 circles surrounding that diamond that has some strange names and things written in a variety of languages, none of which you've never ever seen before. And there's some iterations of that over and over and over. Seems to be the most repetitive thing from what you see. And Kage, you draw the symbol, which is a circle inside of a diamond with 2 circles on the outside. Just as Lukas, you notice this, and he holds it up at the exact same time.
Dun dun dun.
I see. Well, I don't understand Latin, but these books, journals, whatever you want to call them, they've been steeped in negative energy, sickly, defiled. I don't know if there's any magical knowledge in there. I don't know if this is just some serial killer's smut fantasy book. I don't know. But it feels wrong.
The book I
Even
gave
to
you.
me.
The book I gave you, I asked Serafina to have a look over it. She understood Latin. She told me it was to do with exorcising Satan from people who had Satan inside of them, the devil.
It's a risky move. Show
Yeah.
a book from our possible suspect to more suspects.
No.
And you stole this?
Well, my one, no, he gave it to me.
I stole my one.
He told me this is what I'm looking for. Now, the question is,
Why would
If-
you do that?
exactly, why would Poodle Kane give me this book if he's the one responsible? Maybe he definitely knows more than he's letting off. But maybe it's somebody else that's doing it, and he knows who it is. And he's trying to nudge us in the right direction. It's just a theory.
Theories are good. It could also be that he's trying to frame you.
Or shift blame.
Could be.
A red herring. We will come back to this. We have a much more immediate issue, which brings me back to, well, delight would be an inappropriate word to use. I like knives. I do, truly. But things are accelerating quicker than we can manage, and there will be times where we need to make decisions that are. Well, there are no good decisions, are there?
No.
Not now, and perhaps there never was. Morality is such a strange thing.
I tried my best. I tried my best to frame it to where that was either this or innocent people that had nothing to do with the night.
I agree with knives, actually. I don't
Right.
think that we should be sacrificing these Tremere.
Well, then what should we do?
We need to round up humans. A lot of them.
Okay.
A mass sacrifice. If they know how to read Latin, if we can use them
Think maybe
Fantastic.
they're an asset.
temporarily, we could always let slip to the Salubri that there's Tremere in this city, and we can point them in the right direction.
I don't think they're staying here for too long.
It's just for tonight, I'm pretty sure.
If we manage to pull this off tonight, if we manage to wake them up tonight, we will have an advantage. Yes, it will stain our souls. It will be a dark deed that we have done, but Knives isn't here to labor under that. They have moral plausible deniability. Hell, maybe there's still a place for her in heaven. But I'm just trying to survive.
Okay. I'm gonna have to burn some considerable amount of my own personal following, but I can do it. And
I will reimburse you in the future. Consider this a personal major boon to you.
No, it's fine. Well, we'll talk about the finer details of it later. But here's something you got to understand. I can call for an emergency meeting. Well, not an emergency, but a sudden mass tonight, with my followers. I can tell them, I can make them walk through the gates of hell for me. But the problem, and here's the problem with that, is they're not just nobodies. These are university students. People who are going to be noticed if they go missing. Now we need something that will cover our tracks if I am to do this.
Well, on that plan, so you now talk about feeding a bunch of humans and waking up Salubri, but right now the Tremere expect us to deliver a sleeping Salubri to them.
No. They didn't bring that up.
They said that. What was it that they said?
Somebody who isn't. I forget. There was only one specified thing, and it was something like somebody who was not so down on their luck, I think was the wording.
Yes, but when we picked them up in the vehicles, Martin, I believe it was, asked us to bring.
He told us either we bring the Salubri to him, or we never bring it up again.
So they didn't say that.
Oh, right.
So they didn't say that we should bring it to them asleep.
No, they didn't.
Then we are not breaking an oath.
Nor did we make an oath.
Not saying that this is something that we will be doing. I am just saying that our time is running out and our enemies are growing in power and influence. I feel suffocated even though I do not need to breathe. We need to act now. I don't care what it costs.
Counterpoint. We do this. I set up a mass, even if we are able to cover our tracks. What's happening in Munich is spreading. It's going to be questions. We may just be bringing down the hammer even harder. Is that a price we're willing to pay? Is that a fire we're willing to play with?
You make a good counterpoint.
That's just with my connections. I don't know what your two connections are, but those are with my connections. Those are the dangers with my connections. And I'm willing to burn that bridge because the Lord knows that this needs to happen.
There surely must be other ways to get the humans, which doesn't involve, I mean, it might involve more work, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have to use all your humans.
Yeah, what if we, I got quite a few in my congregation. What if I bring in the ones who aren't, we're a little bit slow, not as many of them.
Yeah, just.
And we all pull together.
How close are we to the ice caves?
How close would you like to be?
I'm wondering if, because our intention is very much surrounding this sleeping potential ancient one, if we are getting any glimpses of Rhiannon.
Not currently, no. You haven't seen anything for a little while.
I just want to clarify what are our intentions with the Tremere then. We're talking now about waking up Salubri and taking him there, but we're also talking about the Tremere not being our enemies now. So what is our intent in bringing an awake Salubri to their place?
Isn't our enemy.
We can keep the one that knows Latin alive.
She's malleable.
She'll be willing to help us if we...
She won't have a choice.
I think as long as she has... She told me in the car that she really appreciates the access to occult knowledge. So, I mean, that will be a loss, but...
Well, I mean, there will be others, and there will be time, but I suppose my main concern is needing to know if humans will be enough, if we are just going to be bleeding lambs into a never-ending abyssal hole.
Yeah.
Will humans have blood thick enough to waken it? Or if we need supernatural blood?
What if, well, if we could get him awake, at very least, we could give him the promise of more supernatural blood being the to Tremere.
This is true. How many of your congregation would you be able to provide with minimal problems?
How many
Not
people
none.
are 1 dot, Ethan?
1 to 3. You have a total of 7, I believe, with 2 dots.
I got 3 dots.
You have 3 dots. That puts it up to 15.
Minimal? And this is right at the edge of minimal? 7. That's half.
And what homeless? What kind of people are they?
Okay, so I have. Let me just read through. I'm sorry, this is me out of character now.
That's fine.
I'm just going to read through here. So, pretty much what I've written down here is a group of teenagers, probably teenagers to like early 20s.
Yep.
That are dedicated to God. Yeah, so they wouldn't be homeless. I mean, I could probably grab some of the mainly university ones because it's not unheard of for them to like go missing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll probably say that. I'll probably say it's they range in ages, late teens, mid-teens. Majority of them are university. It's not unheard of for university students just suddenly go missing. But once again, the numbers, that's the question. Well, that's the pen that keeps on stopping me from going yes, is the numbers and this threat that's looming. 7 to go missing in one night. That's why I think we need to find a way to cover our tracks with this.
Well, there is a serial killer on the loose, is there not? Rhiannon, and then that poor girl in the streets.
So if you only select females, maybe.
Yeah,
If
females
we do it in a way where it appears that
recreate the murders.
we become the copycat killer.
Wow, and we've got them. Well, do the books have like illustrations in them of like? Well, I suppose they don't, of like what is going on with these like killings. We'll just have to go by memory, I'm guessing, if we're to recreate.
Which books are you referring to?
The books that myself and Kage have.
It's written all in Latin, and it's just a few symbols. Nothing that
nothing.
You'd have to read Latin to be able to translate it properly. It's really difficult to put things together just with symbols.
Yep, that's fine. Yeah, we can be the copycat killers. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to preface some things out of character right now. Is this the plan we're going with? Because if you mass sacrifice innocent people in a similar way to the way that Rhiannon died, all of you will lose to humanity. Straight up.
Don't love that.
Mm-hmm. The price you pay, right?
It's less that I'm insinuating that we should like ritually take out their organs and stuff, and more like blame it on this elusive, evasive killer that's around. It would still be.
No,
Yeah.
regardless, your character knows, and this will weigh heavily on your conscience. And so, to humanity is the cost of this. Everything else can happen. You can absolutely do this, but here's my offer: is you're trading to humanity. You're going to lose to humanity, but this will happen. And if you want to know, it's probably going to work. It's very likely going to work with that many people. Just so that I don't screw you out of being like, you lose to humanity, nothing happens, haha. And we're going to take a break now to think about this particular
Really
deal
really good idea.
that I've given to our coterie, our group, I should say. Oh my god! Knives was here the whole.
We're not doing anything, man.
Knives was here the whole time. Unobfuscate. All right. Yes, we're going to take a 5 to 10 minute break. Stick with us, and we'll see if we become just as bad as the killers.
It is
See you
cool, at
in.
least I am.
Indeed. See you in just a moment. Welcome back. We've been debilitating, debating, all of the above, all of the words, and so while all of this is happening, Knives, I imagine you're being stealthy as you're observing the Tremere. Sorry, you're muted.
Yeah, every time. Hello, I'm here.
Are you being stealthy or obfuscated as you look on them?
I am Cloak of Shadows,
Mhm.
still in a corner that wouldn't be like really obvious. So if someone were to use True Sight, I wouldn't clearly be like standing in the middle of the road. I'm just in a dark corner across the road, maybe down the street a little bit.
Yeah, they don't notice you as they're sort of moving back and forth. Seraphina occasionally looks out the window. You can see her eyes sort of glaze over for a minute, and then she goes back. She doesn't see you. She keeps moving backwards and forwards. You can see Oscar and Martin having some conversation, speaking to each other. Seraphina occasionally turns around, claps her hands together, and joins the conversation briefly before she's shooed off by one or the other. And she continues to go check on the wards and things repeatedly over and over. There is a sort of calm, controlling feel that comes through the dagger that flows through you. A sense of ease, a sense of control. Is there anything you'd like to do while you're here?
While I'm watching them, I'm going to just test out, like, forcing myself to feel a couple of different emotions. Like, I feel excited, even though I don't know if I can actually feel excited when I'm so terrified of everything. But just, I'm forcefully trying to keep calm, just keeping watch out, making sure I'm paying attention of the people on the street, even though it's curfew, lockdown, whatever. And then just trying to see, if I can feel excited, if I can feel calm, if I could feel scared, just to see what reactions I get.
Yeah. The interesting difference that you discover as you do so is that your own feelings are kind of separate. It's like the blood inside your body is being filled with this emotion itself, and that makes you feel it for a split second, but your own emotion is on top. Like, it's a brief flow through. It doesn't actually change your emotions. You just get a brief glimpse at it. Almost like you are watching someone else so close to you feel this emotion that you can see it happening. It's very, very interesting.
Mostly just wanting to know if she reacted to my emotions as well.
When there's ones where you look at someone who's walking down the street, alert, there is a cautiousness, a jolt of energy that sort of flows through as she does so. She does seem to respond to your emotions, seems to be in tune with them. And that hence why she has reacted by flickering the lights and pushing things every time you are put on edge.
How about when we're with Lucas and Matthew, we just stay as calm as we can, unless they're actually in the process of hurting us, yeah?
This, again, that choleric and melancholic blend of scared and angry flows through you again. A bit stronger this time. She's resistant to your suggestions for some reason.
Dad, where are you coming from? But the more we react towards them, the more they're likely to get rid of us.
The dagger itself actually sort of flings itself out of your backpack and sort of hovers there in midair, turns digs itself into the snow. It carves out and draws these symbols in English, and it just says, "Can't trust them," before it brushes it over.
Can't trust anybody.
Yes.
And then I check to make sure no one's seen it.
No one has seen it nearby. And the only other thing that it writes down again is, "It will be okay." And then brushes it back and fits itself nicely into your pocket.
Give it a pat.
Back with the other three. You arrive and take the walk. Is there any discussion as you're walking towards this ice tomb?
I guess-
We're nowhere near our answers, are we? We don't know what we're gonna do.
It's a lot of unknown.
No.
Maybe we hide the salubri for the night and just keep him out of the Tremere business.
The question arises, though, if we are going to, I think that's a good idea, moving the sleeping one. It's definitely a good idea. But the question arises, we're going to have to do something. We're going to have to do something at some point. Now, sure, maybe we've lost our window with the Tremere, but something's going to have to happen. Feels like we may be delaying the inevitable.
I see what you mean. If these Tremere go, then we'll only have one
Then
option
who?
left. Yeah,
Exactly.
we don't want it to be us.
No.
So who?
Lukas. Thoughts?
I wish I could control this spirit, the power it had to crush a car. If we could have harnessed that
Yeah.
against the Tremere, perhaps this would be much easier. But it doesn't like me much, it seems. I think that I don't know what to think. Perhaps relocating it is the only thing we can do right now.
In which case, Lukas, you've let us into your hospital. Matthew, you've let us use what was it? Your contacts and you've been willing to burn your bridge with Isaac. I guess I could offer up my haven to house this thing. I think it's reasonably out of the way and secure, and hopefully no one should find it there.
Very well. And while we do this, we can mull over some more, because that's all we can really do right now.
If,
Is mull.
if
Try to
that
figure-
sleeping one will. Old ones usually just say, figure it out. But if this salubri is different, if it can help, some guidance, something, we should ask. And if not, well, we're relocating it anyway.
There is one more option we haven't considered, and no one's listening to me right now, are they?
No, you're in the middle
What
of the wilderness.
Yeah, that's how I look around. Like, we could always have him for ourselves. I'm just
and with that, Matthew is going to come up to you and he's going to grab you by the shoulders and just like kiss you on the forehead. And he's going to say, "That's the answer. It was staring us in the face the whole goddamn time. This is a gift from our Lord. And for us to think about waking? What are we thinking? I think out of all our options, this option may be the best option. Matthew 4:8. Again, the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdom of the world and their splendor. I think this should be our feast tonight. That is...
Right. I see how you feel about my suggestion, but I would. What about you, Lucas?
It's tempting. It is an option.
I feel like it's the only option.
It would give us power.
Between the three of us, we can do it.
Can we reap the bounties three-way, or is it only given to one? I don't make it a habit to do this kind of thing. Matthew, perhaps you can enlighten us.
I know... Yeah, sorry, say that again.
Mhm.
I know Sabat Pex often will do this.
Yep.
But the benefits are only for one person, isn't it?
Indeed they are. It's likely that Kage would know this. Kage, you've probably seen this happen. Japan is owned by Etsumitsu, and there's quite a lot of Sabat, quite a lot of Camarilla. These things probably happen. You've probably seen it. And you know, only one person can benefit if you were to survive at all, if your mind were to survive at all during the process. You've seen someone do it, and then their victim control the person's new body that has been eating them. It's a risky maneuver.
I relay this in that case.
Well, either way, he wakes up through one of us, or through all of us. Perhaps it's the only way forward. With the most minimal risk. The most minimal risk to our kind. Because bringing humans and feeding them, that is dangerous. That's going to point a big red arrow. The Tremere? No. We can't do that. Maybe this is the only way.
It has its risks, but what doesn't?
Who would want to be the one?
Do we get to choose?
I'm guessing whoever instigates, possibly. Like whoever instigates first.
I'm guessing the one who chooses is the one that takes on the most risk.
There is another thing.
Okay.
We've been speaking about this atop its head, and it has astounding levels of aspects. It was able to wander away from its icy cave and contact us. You think they don't know what we're talking about right now? So let's say that we do this, and we lose, and they take on our flesh, they subsume our mind. Do you really think that you will survive their wrath?
Fuck.
Yes. I just want it to be known.
No, thank you. We need to know all the risks.
I was speaking to the sleeping one. We need to move it.
Right, we do that first.
You make your way down into this icy dome has been perfectly carved out with this slab covered in these ancient Celtic symbols, to this 6'4", extremely muscular man with long blonde hair, with a sword tucked between his two clenched fists and arms, with a sword and a shield, I should say, a shield across his back. His third eye and his other eyes are all closed, the coins having been taken by one of each of you earlier. And as you step into the dome is when you see Rhiannon in the white dress appear just behind the altar, give you a nice wave and a little smile, cheeky smile that she used to do.
It still hurts to see her, even though it's not her.
I will kneel down next to the sleeping salubri, and I'll just start praying.
Mhm.
And I'll just say, Lord, please give us guidance. Give us something. Talk to us through your conduit if you have to. Please show us the way.
There is a pause. And there is silence. Nothing but the echo of flowing wind from outside. As Rhiannon's vision sort of leans down, looks at you, hands behind her back, gives you a little smile, looks up at the rest of you.
We will be moving you.
She sort of cocks her head to the side, raises her eyebrows.
I point to the body and then away, just in case they didn't understand.
She nods. Seems like she cannot speak nor hear either way.
Right, well, I'm probably the strongest, so I'll probably look at
Strength
Scoop it up.
athletics, please. He is a large man. Very muscular.
It's 1, ooh, 2.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, 2 enough or willpower?
At least 3.
Okay.
At least 3.
And there's number 3. Thank God.
Perfect. You pick up this large body, and it strains you a bit to do so, but you manage to pick it up and start to. For you, Matthew, this symbol is quite religious. The man holding someone in with their arm drooping down over the side as Kage takes him. Do you return him to the car?
Yeah, I guess, yeah, it's the best course, yeah.
He's too large to fit in the trunk, so you just sit him up next to you as you drive back towards town. I imagine you're dropping off at Kage's Haven, bringing his body inside and resting him on one of the couches. Or actually, you take him downstairs.
Downstairs, down to the basement.
Mm-hmm.
Like my hidden wee basement.
Yeah, no problem. And prop him up there somewhere. Seems still quite asleep. The vision occasionally follows you
give him
as
his
you
sword
do.
and his shield. I don't know, it might make him comfy.
He has such an iron grip on them that it would be very difficult for you to remove these things.
All right.
And the vision occasionally follows you. You occasionally see it in the car, or skipping into your home, or sitting down next to them in the basement. And you return back up to the car. Where are you headed now?
There is one final trick that I have in my mind, and then I'm spent. It is one thing to say, well, we know of a ancient sleeping salubri somewhere, but it is another to say, we know of an ancient sleeping helpless salubri, and it's just down the road, actually.
I mean,
Temptation,
indeed.
seduction of power.
We can try that.
It would be our last chance.
Our last hope.
Then Martin, I feel, will just be like, bring it to me.
Then perhaps we get Seraphine alone. Perhaps even if just in a different room or just outside, separate them somehow. And if we can get her, I don't know. I don't know. If they say no, then we say no, and either they kill us and we won't be around to suffer what happens next, or...
So separate her from them, talk about the Salubri, possibly get into a fight, or convince them to come see the Salubri.
I would prefer them to come to the Salubri. It's your haven. You know it intimately well. There's no blood sorcery there. I'm assuming it would be quite dark. We would have the home field advantage, or rather, you would have the most maximum home field advantage.
I was about to say, chances are they might want to go in and check first, but if they go in through our front door, we could send Matthew, say, in through my secret entrance, and he could go wake up the Salubri just in time to greet him.
Yeah, but how do you propose I wake up the Salubri?
Sorry, I thought that was the original idea of you waking him up.
We bring them into the room. And...
I just imagined they would go into my haven first before us to check it out. And we have the advantage where I have a secret entrance.
If we can convince Knives to fight for us, that is another exceptional asset to use.
Good luck with that.
You make your way back to where the Tremere are. Knives, you're still standing there. Luckily, the cold doesn't affect you. You've been keeping yourself warm all this time. I imagine you see the car that you've seen earlier approaching this place. You can tell that they're back from whatever it is that they're doing, whatever it is that's been happening this night. And I imagine you three park it just nearby. Perhaps a bit down the road.
I kind of have a moment of, in our desperation and our fear, we forgot to go get them their snacks. Perhaps we can use their hunger against them.
Yeah. There's a curfew going on. I'll have to get anyone.
Easy. Now we have to be careful. They're probably hearing this conversation anyway. I mean, who knows? I'm very quickly becoming cynical. Let's just be careful.
Grab your paper, write down. Once again, how are we waking this thing? And very like capital letters.
Tempt one to go check it out.
And I guess one of us has to use blood to wake it and then get away. I'm writing that down, by the way.
I'll write Kage, stay in shadows, stake, force feed.
Knives.
True. Oh, yeah.
Knives, I imagine you approach the vehicle at this point.
I put a tick on Chris's comment.
I just tear it to pieces and just put it in my bag.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I would go near the car.
Okay, sure.
Because I'm staying away from the Salubri because that's what Matthew told me to do.
True. Well, whenever you three approach.
I will call up the home phone.
Mm-hmm. Knives, you hear this, you're very observant. You sort of turn around quickly, hearing the phone inside. After a moment, Seraphina sort of talks to Oscar and like points to the phone. Oscar shakes his head and points to the phone for her, and she quickly picks it up and says, ahoy hoy, Seraphina.
Serafina, just the person I wanted to talk to.
Ah, Mr.
Hope you're finding the anemones all right in the house. It's not too uncomfortable, not too cold.
No, everything's absolutely wonderful. It's quite nice. I cleaned the place up a bit just as a bit of a thank you.
Listen, we've had a bit of a snag.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, I don't know. Are you aware of the curfew happening in this place?
You can see, Knives, that she sort of puts the phone away. Looks at Martin. Martin shakes his head, and she goes, no, we weren't aware of any curfew. We were just traveling by quickly."
Yeah. So there's a curfew, which has made it a little bit problematic to get what your friends need. But we do have an answer. It's just it's gonna take somebody with considerable powers to maybe help move this thing.
She says something that you don't hear off of the phone.
Very tasty.
Knives, you see them sort of having a conversation between the others. Martin puts his hand up to his head and strokes it as if he's having some kind of headache. Oscar, on the other hand, is just looking and looks between the two of them, shrugs, stands up. Serafina sort of shakes her hands, and he just picks up the phone. You hear this voice, this croaky voice that says, "What is it?"
Listen, you heard what I said earlier. I'm not going to say it over a phone line just in case, but you heard what I said earlier. And I wasn't lying when I said that there was stuff going on that's beyond my comprehension. And I know that you have the comprehension because I saw what you were doing around my friend's house. And the
Speak
problem is
your words.
we need somebody who knows how to do this, that can get through all the little magical all the little traps, all the little booby traps, so that you can get your tasty little meal.
He turns back towards the others. Martin just holds up his hand and looks down. Oscar picks up the phone again. He says, "You have 2 minutes to be outside."
Very well.
And he hangs up straight away, almost like slams the phone down. Knives, you can see he's talking to Martin. Serafina's sort of like, she's afraid. She's looking at the two of them, has her hands together and her head down, trying not to look at both of them. Before Martin sort of just rolls his hand, Oscar makes his way to the front door, steps outside in his big boots, and stands at the front door, checking his coat, and just standing and waiting.
I'm going to touch the knife and ask her what she thinks of them.
Again, that melancholy, that fear flows through you, but it's lessened. It is wariness of the unknown.
Do you think they are as horrible as Matthew thinks they are?
A sense of a bit of everything. Confusion. All of them sort of flow through you all at once.
Mm-hmm.
Seems she's just as unsure as you.
Do you know who is killing these women?
The knife brings its way out, stabs into the ground, and writes, "Yes."
Can you tell me who it is?
It just stops and draws the word "what." Full stop. Not a question. Before it picks itself up and returns itself to your pocket. After a few moments, I imagine you three bring up the car. Oscar.
real quick, after I finish the phone call. I say, Kage, you take the car, go back to your place, start drawing some symbols around your place with blood. Copy the images that are in the journal. We need to make it look like your place is booby trapped. Lukas, you come with me, and we're gonna try our best. We're gonna try our gosh darn best.
I've been hospitable to them so far. I'll try and keep my talking to a minimum.
Yeah. All right. Kage, if you don't hear from us in about 10 minutes, we're probably dead.
Please don't die.
Draw the symbols, wait in the basement in the shadows, be ready. Be as ready as you can be. We got one chance.
Hi.
So I imagine you guys are getting out, taking a different car instead, approaching on foot.
Well, they've got their own car, so I think I'd suggest for them to take their own car.
Yeah, no problem.
So we'll just approach on foot.
The two of you, Knives, you see the two of them, Lukas and Matthew, approaching you, and Oscar is standing behind you, just waiting. Would you wait for all of them to get together, or would join them, or are you simply staying away from all of this?
I think I might just walk out of the shadow so people can see that I'm across the road.
Mm-hmm. Oscar sort of looks you over, nods. As Lukas and Matthew approach, he just raises his head and says nothing. His white hair, almost electrified, pointed straight up in his wild eyes.
I'm sorry to disturb you, sir. But as I spoke to you on the phone, or sorry, I'm not even sure if it was you. You two barely even spoke. So I don't know who's who, but it's a dire situation. And if you want what I found, I'm gonna need your help.
He says nothing, just looks at you.
Do you want to drive?
Gestures to the car.
Jumps in the car.
He gets into the driver's seat. His wild eyes still on you.
Make it a point, because I'm making it a point to always keep my hands where they can be seen. Probably in my lap or something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He watches you both carefully.
I'm going to make it look like I'm just completely, well, I mean, it's not that much of a stretch that I'm completely like, just like, but like, I'm going to make it seem like I'm very zen, well, not zen, the opposite of zen, whatever the opposite of zen is. Stressed out.
Distraught,
yeah. And then I'll start giving him directions.
He drives back. Kage, if you're going to make these symbols, I imagine you're going to make them out of blood. I'll need a rouse check from you as you're using your blood as part of this.
It is a 4, so I gain hunger.
You get hungrier as you frantically begin to draw these symbols and try to recreate them as best you can.
Also, I park the car down the street on the opposite direction from where.
And I'm gonna make sure to like go the long way, the scenic route. So that give Kage as much time as possible.
No worries. As you're doing so, Knives...
Also going to do a couple of symbols inside and one on my door that leads down to the basement.
Okay. Using quite a bit of blood, actually. Okay. Makes sense that you would get hungrier from this as you're sort of spilling it around. It's quite messy. You're frantic. It's got to be quick. In the meantime, Knives... Serafina steps outside. She scuffs her boots on the mat so to get off any dirt or snow or anything, and she makes her way outside. She looks around, and she's holding 2 teacups, and she like holds them up to like she can't see you, so she holds them up and sort of looks around.
Duck out of the shadow and just give an awkward wave.
She sort of holds up the cup from across the road, sort of shakes it a little bit.
I reluctantly walk across the road.
She, hello, Knives, hands you. I made you some tea. I thought it would be cold. I appreciate you looking out for us.
Take it. Could you tell I was out here?
I couldn't, but Martin could.
Okay. Which one's Martin? The one outside?
The one with the burnt hand and the... Yeah, that one.
Okay. Hi, Martin.
I think he says hello. I'm not sure.
I wasn't really waiting for a reply. I was just saying hello.
Oh, right.
And then I just remembered we're not meant to talk to you.
It's fine. I think your friends have already broken that a little bit, and we won't tell Adelaide if you don't tell Adelaide.
Yeah, I don't talk to Adelaide.
Oh. Well, that's fair enough. I understand. Toreador can be a bit much.
I try really not to talk to anybody.
Oh. Why is that? You learn the most from talking to people.
You learn the most from listening to people.
Well said. I agree.
How did you know what clan you belong to?
Oh. Well, I was just told. And then they taught me how to do this this ritual with my blood where we taste it and we go back a few generations and see who our sires and our grandsires and our grand-grandsires are. It's really quite fascinating.
Really?
Yeah, magic. It's quite impressive. I think every time I do it, I'm always amazed by it.
So, and I look around to see if anybody is.
Curfew. Nobody's out.
Vampires don't care about curfew.
True.
What would happen if I gave you some of mine?
To drink or to... Oh, you want me to a blood walk. That's what they sort of call it, I guess.
Yeah.
Path of blood, sorts of things like that. I mean, I could find out your clan. If I take a bit longer to do it, I could find out a lot more, actually.
Do you have to ingest it, though?
As part of the ritual, I do.
I don't think I want to do that.
That's understandable. A lot of a lot of other clans are very hold on with their blood, but we're quite free, us Tremere, with our blood, our giving, our taking, our using of it in rituals and whatnot.
Isn't that like really dangerous to share it, though?
Well, it can be, unless it's to people you trust.
Well, I only just met you, so...
That's completely... Of course, Knives, of course. I don't expect you to do all these things. It's really weird for me, too. I don't really get out much, so I'm making the most of it.
It's fair enough.
Have you been here long?
Like 5 years.
I can't blame you. It's a beautiful town. I feel like I'm in a fairy tale almost or something.
It would be much more beautiful if like no one else was in it.
That's true. That's very true. It would be quite magical to walk around a ghost town. Well, a know-anything town, I suppose. It's more accurate.
It kind of is a ghost town at the moment.
Oh. I'm sorry to hear that.
There's been murders.
Right. Kind issues, I imagine.
And you know how you were talking about how you're getting... Well, we have those here too.
Oh. Well, that explains the urgency that we get out of here as soon as possible, then.
Mm-hmm. How did you know Adelaide?
Well, I didn't. I don't. But Martin set up a deal with
Okay.
her, from what I know. Some exchange of goods and services and all that.
She does love a good deal.
She really does. She was very, very kind to us, actually, all things considered. Martin offered her so much, but when he explained everything that was going on, she only took minimum. She's got a good heart.
I hope so. This smells like really good tea.
I just don't tell Mr. Deacon, but I just took it from the cupboards.
I don't think he'll really mind.
Oh, good.
As long as he feels like he's in control over you, though. So just, you know, he likes to flap his mouth a lot.
That's so interesting. Mr. Martin is quite the opposite. He does have that feeling of control, but he says nothing. He always gets what he wants.
Yeah. Must be a nice Martin.
He can be cruel sometimes, but he's doing what he thinks is best for all of us, in this case. It's important that we get out of here.
Must be nice, you know, to have your group of people that you can rely on.
It is. All three of us rely on each other every night, especially these nights. It's funny how these traumatic and dramatic and terrible events can really bring us all together.
Yeah. What is the lady in red doing?
She, at first, was sending anger through you, but as the more you talked and the more that you sort of relaxed your muscles and such, the more it's calmed down. Seems to be still a bit cautious, but in control. Seems like Seraphina's very... and not a threat to either of you. And the two of you sit there sort of laughing about situations or talking about certain things with your cups of tea in the snow. Her just wearing a witch's dress and a witch's hat, looking quite
love it.
magnificent and out of place. Meanwhile, as the three of you drive back, Kage, I will get another check from you. I'm going to get Resolve Occult, please, as you try to recreate, or I will also accept Resolve Craft, if you have better craft.
Not the same.
Either or then. To try and recreate these symbols in your own home, in your own blood. Is there anything Lucas or Matthew say to Oscar as he's sitting with you?
I
Just,
remain
just the one.
One
Other than
success.
directions, no.
Very, very messy, very quick, but you get the job done. And eventually, the three of you make your way to Kage's Haven. Oscar parks the car, and he just watches and waits.
I'll say, all right, I got I dabble in stealing stuff every now and then. I was tasked to steal something from here, and there's a lot of weird symbols on the wall. I found myself coming through the another entrance, and that's where I saw it. So, you lead the way. Do whatever you need to do to stop whatever weird symbology stuff is happening. The reward will be for you in there.
He gives a great heaving sigh, looks away, says, "Stay in the car." As he pushes open the door, steps outside, and he actually reaches into his coat and unfurls this almost like clay, sort of scrunched up thing that he holds in his hand, and it unfurls into this very thin like sheet of paper that he holds. He bites into his thumb, starts rubbing it into his hands and talking amongst himself as he makes his way up.
How, when I see that he's no longer like, how close do we park to the house? Like right outside it?
On the
Yeah.
street.
I guess I wait until like he's a little bit away, and then I will. Where is it?
Did Kage tell us in the end where the secret, how to get into the secret exit?
I believe he did.
I think because you mentioned it, so like
Mhm.
we can. I will say to Lucas, all right, secret entrance.
The mirror. I've got the mirror with me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go through whatever underground way I have to go to get to the secret entrance, and then I will use Cloak of Shadows.
Make a rouse check for Cloak of Shadows. He's
free.
free? That's when you have to stand still.
Yeah. I'm just standing still nearby, like somewhere.
Gotcha.
If it's like, is there like stairs? So, Jonno, is there like stairs and then it leads into the basement, or?
Yeah, I would say it would have to go down underground.
I'm going to be flush with the stairs so that if he comes down, he doesn't see me immediately if he's got like all specs going off.
No problem. I will get anyone in the home. I'll get a dexterity stealth from you guys.
Yep.
Yes, obviously I've got Silence of Death, Shadow Cloak, Fleetness, so on.
You know what? Do you need to make a check? I don't think so. But we're gonna get you to make a check anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Lucas, did you want to stay out at the door with the?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking about staying outside and giving you the mirror.
Yep, I'll take it.
Like
Very
before you
well.
leave the car, they're like, take care of her. She means a deal to me.
How do I turn it on?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
I've given her instructions, or rather, I will give her instructions to protect both Kage and you should anything go wrong. And I will make a roll if necessary.
Yeah, I'll get manipulation occult.
So I got 9 for my stealth.
Oh, jeez, you are a shadow.
And I would like to note that I am sword in one hand, but I've also got the coin I got from Salubri in the other.
Very nice.
And you'll see why soon.
Interesting.
Hiding in a shadow, but it's not across from the door as you go in, but more, behind, obviously.
No worries. Yeah, easy for you to do with 9 successes. You basically stand against the wall and you just vanish towards it. You've done this a million times before. 2 for Mr. Deacon. There is the occasional sound from the other end, but it is where he is going, so it seems not to be a problem in this case.
I have roused and I failed, so my hunger increases to 2.
It's a tense situation. The beast purrs and growls in the cage, bends the bars a little bit.
I just thought quickly, note for you, Ethan.
Yes.
For this scene takes place, do you remember what the deal with my sword is?
I do, if we're talking about the same thing about the sheath. Yep, I remember.
Cool.
No problem.
I will have my special. Everyone will see soon.
Yeah.
How many successes, Lucas? 10. Yes, they will obey your every whim for this scene. You can't see him, except for you, Lucas. He's making his way inside. He sort of tuts and shakes his head like disappointingly at the blood around him. He can clearly tell that this is not sorcery. It's not like, it's barely ritualistic, and he's very unimpressed. But he slowly makes his way down, still rubbing his. You can hear him chanting as he starts to come a little bit closer. One step sort of echoes down, and then another, and then another, and then another. And then one last one before he steps in front of you, Kage, into the room, sort of observes around what is around him as he continues to chant this spell.
I'm going to flip the coin into the opposite direction of me, basically to take his attention for that millisecond. And as soon as I see him notice that coin, I'm a strike.
Okay. Strength, melee.
Question.
On the coin or the strike?
The strike.
Question. Can I use my chimerastery to amplify that?
Yes.
So that he's even more distracted and Kage gets bonuses?
He's already surprised. We can't resist this, but it would definitely add. Let's add just an extra dice to that.
Okay, that's all I want.
An extra dice to that check.
So
Because
I'm gonna
that is
rouse
clever use.
I gain another hunger.
Hmm.
Getting close. I'm literally at the border of the danger zone.
Rousing success. I'm
Mhm.
rousing the blood, and I'm also going to activate prowess
Yes, not a problem.
and success again.
Hoo, 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 hoo.
Play
Tempting the
every dice.
beast.
Strength, melee, katana, rouse the blood.
Yep.
Do I add in an extra dice for my potence, or that's only if I do damage?
Yeah, it's to the damage and
Right,
defeats
so
of strength.
leave that for now.
But that does help you with what you're trying to do.
So basically, I am going for a stab in the heart
Mm-hmm.
with my sword.
A
Just one swift.
yeah, no problem.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I can willpower if I need more than that.
No, that's all you need. Since he cannot resist you, I believe in the special, you need to do 5+ damage to stake them instantly. That is enough. Since he can't resist you, you stab right into the heart using your special sheath, which pierces straight through his back. His blood hit the clay thing that he's holding just drops to the floor, and he freezes in place as you stake him.
I emerge from the shadows. My eyes of the serpent activated because I was waiting for something bad to happen, and then I say, "We did it. You did it."
And then I remove the sword from the special sheath, leaving it in him.
I
look at Matthew and I say, it might look like metal, but this is actually Betula chichibinois. It is the rarest tree found in Japan, on the highest mountain. It's very strong and it's been stained silver to look like a blade, but it is, of course, just wood.
Clever, smart. I'll turn off the eyes of the serpent.
Mm-hmm.
Grab my phone. Message Lukas. Done.
Trouble
Not at all.
coming. And I will casually go in.
You can see the scene. This, what looks like silver, pierced through Oscar's heart that freezes him in place.
I intentionally try to not be in the paralyzed one's line of sight,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm looking at the other two, and I just kind of like with kind of like a military thing, just kind of like.
I say, right. Step 1. Tick. Time for step 2.
I'll look at Kage and kind of like go, do you want to do the honors or do you want me to do the honors?
I'll nod. I'll grab the wrist of Oscar and I'll grab that combat knife out I took the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Cut the wrist and I'll place it on the celebrity's mouth.
As soon as you cut his wrist, this Salubri's 3 eyes shoot open. He slowly stands to his 6'4" figure, grabs the wrist, puts it into his mouth, and in seconds, maybe 3 seconds, all the blood from Oscar shoots into his throat, right into him. Oscar just shrivels up instantly and dies in that 3 seconds. And once that is done, he just rips it out of his mouth and just grabs Oscar's head and crushes it in his hand.
I will pick up my sheath from this shriveled body.
I will, this is probably stupid, but I'm going to kneel.
This
I'm gonna do the same thing.
figure I need. Let's have a charisma etiquette check from everybody as this three-eyed figure sort of observes all of you, sort of huffing and puffing.
Hunger 4. Oh God.
You have stigmata active.
Oh no. No.
Chris, you're looking like a snack.
This is bad.
You
This
look
is
like
very
a snack,
bad.
Chris.
I shouldn't have roused.
I just got one.
Fuck it.
Like a
Fine.
tasty
This is the end of
snack.
my story. It's the end of my story.
This figure
fine.
will make a hunger frenzy check against
Yes. Stop looking like a snack.
open
Sorry.
blood. Oh, you are lucky, my friend. As
Lucky snack.
the blood, he has great self-control. As your blood starts to ooze down, his third eye looks at you, but the other two do not. He breathes heavily, his hot breath coming out. It's hot, surprisingly so.
3.
3. Yep.
One.
I think it would be a sight. Just it would feel like a religious experience. Me just bleeding everywhere as I kneel.
Mhm.
I
He
wasn't kneeling. I don't know if that's going to be a problem, but I was grabbing my sword and putting it back together.
even sort of just standing to attention or just standing there.
Because I assume he's not afraid of me at all, so it's not going to bother him.
It's very interesting. He sort of calms himself. He breathes in and out, even though he doesn't need to. He closes his two eyes, but his third eye sort of looks at all of you one by one. And then he opens his other two eyes. Breathes in. Steps forward, and he grabs Lucas and Matthew's shoulders, hoists you up onto your feet. And he gives this big, hearty smile. And pats you both on the shoulder like chums do, almost. And he speaks this ancient dialect that you've never heard in your entire life. Very short, very grunty.
I don't know if you can understand me right now. But if you need more food, and I'm gracious you didn't take upon me as I'm weeping right now in your presence. But if you need more food, we can direct you somewhere.
He turns to Kage, points at Matthew, and sort of asks you something in this ancient dialect. None of you have... It's clear that there is a language barrier, an understanding barrier between all of you.
I point towards if it's an ash pile or a mummified corpse or whatever
Mummified
remains.
corpse, yeah.
I point towards the mummified things, and then hold up 2 fingers, and then as if I know where 2 more of that is.
He shakes his head and sort of puts... He frowns slightly, steps down to the body, and actually closes the eyes and starts to mumble some things under himself.
As it's the eyes of the head he crushed.
Yeah, indeed. Whatever's left of it. He seems almost remorseful.
Right. We can't speak to him. That's a problem.
It's fine. We'll find a way. We'll find a way.
What if the warlocks know that he's gone? What if some kind of connection was broken?
Oh, it's very likely.
And Knives is not with us.
Oh, fuck. I will I'll grab the man as he's kneeling over, saying, I'm like, I know. I'm gonna try to best mimic this out. I'm like, you can't understand me, but we have a friend that needs our help.
He repeats this phrase back to you. Friend.
I point
at him, and I point at me. Friend.
He points at his third eye, and then he points to the lack of yours. It's clear he cannot comprehend any of these things that you're saying.
I I mean, let's I go over to the body, and I try to do it with, I guess, the least amount of disrespect, but I'm still tampering with the body. So I take hold of its mummified arm and kind of like almost mimic a kind of like stabbing motion.
He raises his hand and he takes your hand off. He shakes his head and puts the body back in a respectful manner and leaves it in the way that it was. And shakes his head.
Friend. Hmm.
This is a problem.
Knives. Meanwhile, as you and Seraphina are laughing and relaxing between each other, that's when the knife grows heavy again. And this jolt of fear pulses through you, and it starts to pull and pull and pull away.
I'll be back in a minute, and then I follow.
All right, best of luck. Seraphina waves you off, and then she goes back towards the house. The knife...
I unseen passage instantly.
You disappear, and you start to be pulled away from this place. And it goes further. It wants to pull you all the way, like, the opposite direction of Obertron, where you've been given the house. It wants to go back to Hallstatt, it seems like. Far away from here. It's pulling hard.
I'm going to trust it. It hasn't proved me wrong yet.
You leave Obertron behind. And until you get to Hallstatt is where it sort of... It anchors itself. It goes heavy and tries to keep you here.
I get my phone out and I message Lukas and just say, I've been pulled away.
And this is the point, Lukas, where you receive this message.
I immediately show the rest. I give the phone to well, I guess Matthew.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, you stay away. I give it to Matthew, but I kind of in that moment realize I've got pencils and paper. So I'm going to take out the pencils and paper and kind of put it on the ground and just kind of be like, okay, I'm not going to write words, but like try my very best to pictogram, like,
very, very difficult because your modern mindsets of pictures is very
Yeah.
different to what it was way back then.
mm,
So it's extremely difficult. But I will accept a wits and craft check.
While he's doing this, I'm gonna get the phone and I'm gonna relay the message to Kage. I'm gonna put the phone down and I'm gonna walk out to the outside, grab my phone out, dial Isaac's number.
After some time, one of the ghouls picks up. I imagine you say, "Yep, I'm here to talk to Isaac." You give the right passwords, and he passes it on. You hear Isaac's voice from the other end. "Ah, Mr. Deacon."
I'm wondering, Isaac, as I'm bleeding just everywhere, I'm wondering how deep your hospitality is.
That depends, Mr. Deacon.
What about people who have made enemies out of your enemy? Allies.
Well, if one were to, shall I say, return some things that were perhaps lost, then perhaps so, Mr. Deacon.
Gotcha.
I'm glad we're at an understanding.
You'll be hearing from me soon.
Wonderful. How many successes? 4? Let's see if he can understand it. He is baffled with your ability to create pictures on this thing, and he takes it from you and starts using it instead. And he's like laughing and like picking it up, and then he tears the paper with his strength and tries to put it back together, and then observes and continues to like draw strange symbols and things on it. He's marveled with this invention.
I walk back inside, still bleeding, there's sort of a daze in my eyes, just like, okay. I go down the stairs. I just look at Lukas and I just say, blood bags.
What?
Blood bags.
What about blood bags? They're too ancient to drink them.
Shit.
This moment, the Salubri sort of turns his head straight towards the wall and looks at something that isn't there.
I put unseen sense the unseen on.
There's nothing there. He looks, and as he does so, he actually like picks up his sword.
I instinctively just kind of like, just kind of move back a bit with my hand hovering over mine.
He says something to you guys in this ancient dialect. Wary picks up his shield and starts stomping his way upstairs.
I'm following.
And pushes his way out into the snow, looking at this direction. You can see he's looking back at the house where the Tremere were. He's got this determined frown on his face.
I say, well, the night's adventures continue, shall we?
We can't let him stomp throughout the city. Yes, there's a curfew, but there is only so much that we can do with that.
Can't leave him alone. But let's follow. And with that, I'm just going to go.
We can't stop him.
Leave them to talk, whatever. I'm going to follow.
We can't stop him.
He steps right through the fencing of your home, Kage, pushes his way through like it were just a thin sheet of paper, just moves things out of his way and stomps his way back towards the Tremere home.
I forgot, was I meant to save her? Did we decide this?
No, we didn't decide that.
Okay,
Yeah.
just checking. Thank you.
Lukas, are you following with Kage? Are you?
No, I'm by your side.
I will just defeatedly say to you, we should have gone with the plan to drink him. This was
Too
a
late.
mistake.
It's too late for that now.
One other thing you should know. The protection that I thought we could get, it's not as much of a luck as I thought it was.
So we stay by the Ancient One's side.
Yeah. We're friends. We teach him. We stay in hiding. We bring Dion in this as well, because D is involved, because what Isaac wants, King I, he wants his little toy back. And I don't think you want to burn that bridge. I don't particularly want to burn that bridge either. We stay by his side. We bring her in on this. Maybe she can help.
She would be fascinated. I can try and get the father in as well.
Yeah,
He would be delighted to help someone.
exactly.
But first things first, you need to feed.
I look down at my hands and feel my forehead, and I just say, no, this is my penance for making foolish moves.
And if the Ancient One eats you because he cannot control it anymore, Your flock would be leaderless. Your time here is not done. Do you think, and I do not mean to offend, I don't know how your faith works, but do you think that he would want you to just fade or linger around to shepherd these people? You need to feed.
You're right. Keep an eye on all that. I'm gonna go contact who I need to contact. I'll contact my herd and discreetly try to get to my herd.
Very well. He continues to stomp through the streets towards this home. You are separated, all of you at this point, except for Kage and Lukas.
Is Lukas following now?
Yes, I'm running if I can.
Yeah.
But I'll try and guise it like, oh, I'm just taking a jog, but I am like in my face. I'm not concealing the panic.
This hulk of a man makes his way through, pushes up towards the front of the house, and you two are the only ones to observe as Seraphina runs out of the house. Sort of panic on her eyes and fear as she sort of looks back behind her towards the house. And this huge man passes by her, actually stands in front of her, as if defending her from something inside.
Can I try to get Seraphine
Yeah, she looks at you, she's panicked, she runs over, she says, oh, Martian, please,
Wait, don't.
She...
We cannot stop it.
What?
Can I keep following it? He can talk to her, but I want to see what he's doing. I want to keep an eye on it.
It walked through a steel fence. I can't stop it.
She's can barely speak as she turns back. Kage, you see Martin sort of stepping his way out of the house, stumbling. His white shirt is stained red, and the bottom of his torso towards the top has been split open, and his guts are hanging out in front of him as he is stepping forward, trying to make his way towards you. And the man, the Salubri, stands and he puts his hand in front of you, Kage, and shakes his head.
I step back, just behind him one step, but to the side, and just quietly observe.
He appears to be putting himself between you and Martin. Martin sort of coughs blood, and you watch. As you watch, everyone in the area needs to make a Rot Shrek frenzy check.
A what, sorry?
A Rot Shrek, so that is fear.
Including me? I'm guessing I'm still in the
You are
area.
out of the area, I'm afraid. You are contacting people.
Yeah,
You do not witness this. And
I didn't
Knives.
know how big the area was.
Ah, gotcha.
Sorry, so what?
No worries.
What am I rolling for?
So
this checker?
it's like hunger frenzy. It's frenzy. You're rolling frenzy. So it's your remaining willpower.
Remaining willpower, right?
Yeah.
A third of humanity?
Humanity, yeah.
Plus a third of your humanity. Yeah.
Right.
Anything that isn't superficially or aggravated damage in your willpower, you can roll. Knives is a safe distance away from this, whatever this is, as well.
Right, remaining willpower, third of humanity.
This is terrifying. Just so.
1, 2,
Good.
3. 4. Okay, 5.
5. And Lukas?
It says 6, but I'm only seeing 2 successes here.
That is.
I don't know what's wrong with the. Yeah,
That is
it's
strange.
2 successes.
2 successes. Unfortunately, you are going to fly into a frenzy of fear, and I'm going to check for... Actually, does he have that? No, he is fine. He doesn't even need to check because of his abilities. The Salubri stands his ground, keeps his... Actually, Seraphina will need to make a Rutschreck as well. She fails. The two of you, upon witnessing this, faces crumple. Your beast lurches inside of you and says, "Get the hell out of here or die." As you see two... no, Martin speaks a single word, and only you, Kage, are close enough to hear it. Sorry, not a single word, a single phrase. He just says, "Yes. No, that's not the answer. It's not. It's this. It's this form." As two arms push their way out from underneath his guts and split Martin from the inside out into two pieces. The thing that pushes its way out is about 8 feet tall, with long, pale blue limbs that crunch and have too many bones, with two large bat-like wings, no eyes on its face, with long blue ears that are pointed, and claws at its feet and its hands, like almost like a dinosaur's, like a raptor's. And it pushes its way out of his body, and you can hear its voice just say, "No, no, you will do," as it points towards the being, the Salubri. And that's where I'm going to end tonight's session.
No, you cannot. What the fuck? Sorry, I just swore.
So,
some reason that playlist you gave me, Chris, had the main title of Terminator playing during that.
Even
I
better.
was listening to the Terminator.
Even
theme during
better.
that.
Even better.
What Digimon is that indeed?
I'm just listening to the music from the Medium playlist, which is very interesting.
Mm.
So yeah, it's Terminator, dun, 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 dun. And as you were ending, dun, dun, dun.
Midnight Mass for me, so I'm listening to lots of hymns of
Oh,
God.
good. Oh, lovely. So, Lukas and Kage are the only ones who witnessed this, but Lukas and Seraphine only get a brief glimpse before they flee in terror. And we'll deal with that next week.
I totally thought I was going to be in the way of the Salubri. It was going to eat my face off.
No. It became very clear that this thing is more of a pacifist warrior.
Haha. Told you so. Nah, 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 nah.
All I'm glad is that we didn't go with our original plan of feeding a bunch of... Oh, God. Oh, that would have been so terrible.
They would have been very pissed.
Yeah.
So, let's reintroduce this group and let us know where we can find you throughout the week. Until next time, starting with Lukas.
Hi everyone, I am the now traumatized satanic _ bunny, and you can find me here on Twitch. You can also find me on Twitter at satanicbunny2. And yeah.
Woo!
Hi, everyone. I'm Chris, aka the Unemployed Writer. You can... I don't know when we're going to do it, but we're planning on eventually having... some old sessions of Anarchs of Chicago streamed, broadcasted on Roleplay Nights. Well, I'm on the...
Thank you for stealing my announcements.
Oh, that's fine, no worries.
Double down.
I'll double down. But yeah, no, I'm at a loss. I'm at an utter loss right now.
I'm Jonno. I was playing Kage de la Sombra. You can find me at Twitch at Bakers5. Yeah. And I was about to say I was going to steal the announcement as well, but no, I'll just let you get it.
Hi, I'm Nova. I was going to wait until we were going to start actual doing it before announcing it. You can find us at Roleplay with an E nights, and tomorrow, even though there's no game, I'll still play Vampire Bloodlines charitably, because that's how I roll.
Hell yeah. I'm Ethan, the storyteller of this murder mystery chronicle, or the traumatizer, if you prefer. Something I like to go by. Clearly with my track record. But thank you so much. You can catch us same time next week, same place. Actually, it'll be slightly altercated because of all the, daylight savings that we're all dealing with at the moment that's sort of messing us around. But you'll get announcements for everything, and I'm very excited for next week. It's going to be even better. So
I'm still mad at you.
we'll talk it out. Don't worry, it'll be fine. Anyway, see us next time and continue this wonderful mystery and see how we go. But anyway, thank you for sticking with us. Have a wonderful evening, morning, night, etc. See you next time.